Hey everybody, it's Ian the Off Kilter Crafter. I hope you're having a great day today. It's month 2 for Sparkle and Shine, the puzzle mystery quilt from Cotton Cuts. Looks like this clue is a little more involved and I can't wait to get started, so let's do it. Before we get started today, I wanted to revisit my last clue, not because there's anything wrong with it, but I wanted to point out that on this clue I had used black thread to sew my clues together, and I realized as I was looking at it from the front side that you could actually see some of the black popping through, especially some of my threads that were a little long and stuff. So it's sometimes important when working on these quilts to make sure to pick a matching thread color, and so that's why for this clue and moving on I'm going to be using white thread, so that way it doesn't show up as much whenever I have a section like this. I'm not going to go back and redo these. I think it's small enough that it's not going to make a huge difference, and it can also be camouflaged by some of these black and white fabrics, so I'm not going to go back and redo those, but I just want you to keep in mind whenever you're working on any type of quilt, thread color does sometimes matter, and especially when you're working with white fabrics that can show through really easily, you want to be careful with your thread choice. Alright, I have my instructions ready to go, I have my clue packet number 2 ready to go, and of course don't forget you need your fabric guide every time you put one of these clues together, because that tells you what fabric goes where. Let's go ahead and open up the packet and see what's all included. This clue has a lot going on, so let's take a look at what we got. We got, first of all, we have fabric A, and I have 10 triangles of fabric A. Next up I have a triangle of fabric, actually I have 2 triangles, excuse me, 2 triangles of fabric E. Next up I have 6 triangles of fabric D, and then I have 2 triangles of fabric B. I have 2 squares of fabric A, and 2 squares of fabric F. I also have 2 large triangles of fabric D. And last but certainly not least, we have 2 big long rectangles of E. I always have difficulty kind of determining what to call each of these, but these are definitely very large rectangles of E fabric. Okay, we're going to start off with section 2A. We'll be making 2 of these sections 2As. The instructions below tell you how to make both sections at the same time. So we're going to be making 2 of these clues at the same time. What we're going to do for the first step is to join a small triangle of A and D, and we're going to press towards D. So we're going to make 6 of these. Remember, whenever you're working with your A fabric, at least for Moonstone, this fabric has a pattern on it that is tone on tone, so it's really hard to see. So really pay attention as you're sewing these together to make sure that your pattern ends out facing outwards, because this is the right side of the fabric. So just make sure that you're putting it correctly, and again, it's not a huge deal if it ends up inside, but for the most part you really want to try and make sure that it's on the outside, because to me it looks cooler that way. But anyways, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and plop this over just like this, and I'll sew 6 of these half square triangles. Okay, as you see, I've got, some of them are a little off camera, but I've gotten them all sewn together, and now I'm pressing them towards the D fabric. In my case, it's the purple fabric. And when working with half square triangles, I've been told that to make them as even as possible, what you do is you kind of open it up a little bit and you swipe up with your iron, and then back down, and then push across, and then go in and kind of press that seam a little bit more. Supposedly it's supposed to keep it from warping. I don't know if it actually does or not, but I try it anyways and it seems to work okay, so I just keep going with it. So anyways, there are our half square triangles. Let's move on to step number 2. I got my instructions over here now. Step number 2 says to join, oh, I need more fabric. That's what I need, hold on. Sorry about that, totally forgot to grab the fabric for step 2. I also kind of freaked out because I only have 2 squares of fabric A, and so I was kind of freaking out about that. But the good news is, we only need 2 squares of fabric A. So what we're going to do is, we're going to join step 1 unit to the left of a square A. We're going to press this towards the square, which I assume is going to be my A fabric, and we're going to make 2 of these. So we only need to make 2 of these, don't freak out like I did. All we're doing is just this right here, where we're making 2 of these half square triangles in a square unit together. Okay, I've gone ahead and sewn these two together. I'm pressing my seams towards my block A, just the fabric A square, just like that. This is one of the areas where I would be afraid to use that black thread because it would be probably pretty visible through the white. So glad I switched to white thread. Okay, so we've done that. Now we're gonna go ahead and it looks like and set these aside and grab some more of our half square triangles. Okay, moving on to step number 3, and by the way, it does have measurements for each of these steps, but I'm not really too concerned about the measurements. If something is like way off, then yeah, of course I need to take care of that. But I just find that if I kind of put it together and not worry about the measurements and kind of work with it a little bit, it does take a little bit of working with at the end, but really it's very minuscule whenever I am kind of fitting everything together. And so far, in all of the ones that I've done so far, I haven't had a huge problem. So just a little tip for you. All right, moving on. Step number 3, sew another step 1 unit to the right of a square of F, placing D next to F. Okay, so this is very important. We're now, remember, whenever we put these half square triangles together, we were putting them together in this arrangement. Well, we're gonna flip it 180 basically, so that our, in my case, the purple fabric D, is aligned next to our square of F. So we're gonna sew these together, and again, we're just doing 2 of these. All right, I've done that. I'm gonna go ahead and press, again, it says to press towards our F fabric, and we're making 2 of these. There we go, just like that. So when it's all said and done, I should bring them out over here where it's a little more visible. There we go. So we should have it looking like this. We have our square of F, we have our D fabric, and then we have our A fabric. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next step. Okay, we're ready for step number 4. It says to join step 3, the one we just did, to the bottom of step 2. So whenever we combine it, it should look like this. You should have this kind of like hourglass shape here. So it should look something like this whenever we get it done. Let's go ahead and do that twice. Okay, I've sewn those together and I'm gonna go ahead, it says to press towards step 3, excuse me, I was trying to look and iron at the same time, which is never a good idea. Anyways, all right, so I'm pressing it out towards my step 3, and it may be a little wonky. I always get them a little strange, but there we go. That is done. So we're good. I'm gonna go ahead and set this one off to the side for just a moment, so that way we focus on this one. And we're gonna go ahead and move on to step number 5. All right, for step number 5, we're going to join a small triangle. I always do that wrong. We're gonna combine a small triangle of B with a small triangle of A, just like this, and we're gonna do this 2 times. Okay, now that I've gotten that done, I'm gonna go ahead and press towards B fabric. So I'm gonna go up like that and over like that. There we go, kind of flatten it out. Probably was a little heavy-handed with that, but that's fine. All right, so there we go. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna move on to step number 6. It says to join step 5 to the remaining step 1 units, press towards B and make 2 of them. All right, so again, make sure you have your D fabric up in the top left corner of this unit, and then you'll have your B fabric lining up just like that. So we're gonna do that 2 times. Okay, now that I put those together, we're gonna press towards our B fabric. Whew, that's a little wonky, but like I said, it really does all come out in the end and you should be just fine. All right, so there we go. We have completed step number 6. Let's move to 7. All right, for step number 7, it says to join step 6 to the bottom of step 4. We're gonna press towards step 4. So we're gonna point it upwards, basically. We're gonna make 2 of these. So let's go ahead and put these together. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and press towards step number 4, I should say. And it should look something like this. Mine is slightly wonky, as you can see. I didn't quite, this is a little bit shorter than it should be, but that should be okay in the end. What I was really focused on is really making sure that these points come together. So instead of trying to align it by either, this side or this side whenever I was sewing it, what I was really focused on was making sure to keep these lines all straight together, so that way you don't have it kind of doing that dog leg. It goes straight up and down. So there we go. That is step number 7 all completed, and we're going to label these section 2A or clue 2A, either one. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to section 2B. We'll be making 2 of section 2B. These instructions tell you how to make both sections at the same time, so we'll be making both of these at the same time. And the first step that we need to do for step number 1 says to join a small triangle to the top right of a large triangle of D. We're going to press towards A, and we're going to make 2 of these. So we're going to put it on just like that, and we're going to go ahead and make 2 of these. All right, I kind of treat these like half square triangles, where I kind of go up first and then over to do that. Oh, look, the heart ended up exactly perfectly, just like right there. It may be hard on this. You can kind of see it on the camera. Anyways, okay, moving along. Here we go. So that's step number 1. We're gonna press towards A, which I just did. And now we're gonna make 2 of them, which actually I just already did. So let's move on to step number 2. Okay, for step number 2, it says to join a triangle of E fabric to the top left. We're going to press this towards E, and we're going to make 2 of these. If you don't know, this is called a flying geese block. It's pretty easy to make, and we're just going to go ahead and lay that right on there and sew it just like that. All right, I have completed our step number 2. So we have our fabric E over here on the left side, and I'm pressing towards my E fabric just like that. There we go. So I got 2 of those ready to go. Let's go ahead and move on to step number 3. Okay, I'm having to do a little bit of screen gymnastics here because this is so long, but for step number 3, it says to join step 2 to the right of an E strip. We're gonna press towards the E strip. So it's just gonna butt up just together, just like that. And we'll sew them together just like that, and we'll come back and press it towards our E strip. All right, I have finished that, and now I'm pressing towards my strip of E fabric, just like that. And there we go, we have finished with that step. Let me move the instructions over here. We don't need them anymore, but basically there's our strip piece right there. And we're gonna finish this and label these as section 2B. And there we go, we finished our 2 pieces for this clue. So remember, we have 2A up here at the top. This is a part of section 2A. And then we have our section 2B, clue 2B, however you want to put that, down here on the bottom. We're going to label them as such, and we'll save them and get ready for next month. Thanks for watching today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'm making it my goal in 2021 to hit 100,000 subscribers, but I need your help to make that happen. Take a moment and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then don't forget to check out the other great videos that I have here on my channel. Also, share this video with your friends and tell them to come check out the Off Kilter Crafter.